Well, for years, society has fantasised about a magic drug to help us lose weight. And now we have it with the latest miracle weight loss drug about to hit Australia. So should it be available to everyone?
Obesity rates in Australia are one of the highest in the Western world, with projections that it's only going to increase.
In the past decade, the number of Aussies living with obesity has nearly doubled. 2/3 of the population now classified as obese or overweight.
What's changed, particularly the last 30 to 40 years, has been the availability of high-calorie foods and drinks, and our culture is more centred around this now than ever before.
And it's expensive. In 2018, the condition cost the economy $11.8 billion. Without any intervention, that figure is expected to hit more than $87 billion by 2032. Yet just 0.1% of the health budget has been spent on tackling the crisis in nearly a decade.
Greater investment is needed to tackle something that we have predicted that's going to get bigger and bigger.
Enter weight loss treatment Wegovy, which will be on pharmacy shelves in Australia from tomorrow. The sister to Ozempic, Wegovy is part of the new generation of weight loss drugs, which were originally intended to treat diabetes.
What started as a common diabetes medication has now become the hot celebrity drug for weight loss.
Do you want to know what this is? This is magic.
Unlike Ozempic, Wegovy is designed specifically to lower appetites and make people feel fuller, with those taking it shedding up to 10% of their body weight.
It has honestly changed my entire life.
But in Australia, patients will need a prescription, and Wegovy won't be listed on the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme, meaning those who need it will have to pay full price. That price, so far unknown, but in the UK, Wegovy costs more than $500 per month.
We've never had subsidised treatment for people living with obesity. We have for high blood pressure, for asthma, for diabetes. Why would we not get on the front foot and manage this health condition?
But once stopped, research shows patients on Wegovy tend to regain most of the weight they've shed. The drug meant to work alongside, not replace diet and exercise. So as Australia continues its battle with obesity, should the taxpayer cough up the cost of the new class of weight loss drugs?
I think it's still believed that obesity is a choice, and that's just simply not true. Obesity has a genetic cause behind it, but we need to stop blaming the individual and start providing evidence-based treatment options so these people can live their healthiest and best lives.
Professor Michael Cowley is the founding director of the Monash Obesity and Diabetes Institute, and he joins us now. Michael, why do you think Wegovy should be made available on the PBS?
Because it's an effective drug to help people lose weight, and it provides long-term health benefits.
Michael, in knocking it back, the Pharmaceutical Advisory Committee says Wegovy, it's just not cost-effective at the proposed price when compared with a placebo of diet and exercise. What do you say to that?
What price is health? We know that obesity causes significant economic costs. We know it causes significant costs to people's health, and significant costs to the people who care for people who live with diseases caused by obesity. So I think I can't argue the numbers because I didn't see them, but I think it is a political argument ultimately. What price do you put on quality of life? So statisticians put a value on a life, and they have a certain dollar cost they give to that life. We talk about quality life years and years of life lost associated with diseases that can help put numbers around them. And then those numbers can be compared to what the average monthly or yearly cost of a drug or therapy might be. And ultimately it comes down to a balance between what the federal government is prepared to pay and what the pharmaceutical company feels they can sell the drug at to make a reasonable profit.
So in landing on this decision not to have it on the PBS currently, are the Australian authorities saying, look, you know, cost for cost, it may actually be better for us as a society if someone who can lose weight through diet and exercise does that instead?
I think that's what they're saying, yes. But remember, it took the pharmaceutical benefits system a long time to approve drugs to treat cancer. So it's not just an economic argument. There's a political component to it as well, and I think I'd be surprised if lobbying doesn't play a part in it. I think one of the challenges with obesity is it's a disease that carries a significant stigma, and it's hard to generate sympathy for it.
Professor, critics point out that people will seem to put the weight back on when they stop using or taking the drug. Should we be funding a drug that doesn't create or doesn't seem to create long-term change?
So the drug does create long-term change while people take it, and people keep the weight off while they continue to take it. I guess the hope is that with change to weight, people can make other changes in their life that helps them keep the weight off. We really don't know very much about what we need to do to help people keep weight off. And so wider use of these drugs will help doctors and patients better understand how to keep weight off in the long term. Your point about should we fund something that doesn't cause permanent change, I think if there was a drug that did cause a permanent reset of weight, it would be a problem because there are some situations in which you need to regain weight. So particularly if you're recovering from a significant surgery or a condition like that. So I think the fact that it doesn't permanently change things is not necessarily a problem because most drugs don't permanently change things.
I think one of the things you learn when you get to your 40s is your body doesn't respond to everything the same way and you have to kind of adapt. You have to work harder, eat less of some things, drink less of other things. Is there a risk that by making these sorts of drugs far more widely available and affordable, you're kind of training us as a society out of making those adaptations and learning those changes and sort of disciplining ourselves in that way?
Well, I mean, that argument has some validity, but on the counter side, we've got an environment where we're advertising food aggressively, where we're making it more difficult for people to find cheap and effective ways to exercise. We're pushing delicious food at people. And so the environment is changing on one side. I think it's natural to try and do something to shift things in patients' favour as well. So it's a fair argument, but I don't think it takes into consideration the environment that we've created over the last 25, 30 years.
You mentioned the health effects of obesity, but have people been using these drugs for long enough for us to be confident that there aren't serious long-term side effects that could be worse?
Yeah, fair question. So this drug has been tested for 2 years in clinical studies with no surprising serious side effects. All drugs carry side effects, and this class of drugs is well associated with nausea and vomiting and diarrhoea and some other rare side effects. But in those 2-year-long studies, nothing untoward occurred. And this class of drug has been around for 20 years now, and there's been, again, no serious common side effects. There are always rare side effects. So these drugs are not to be taken just over the counter. They should be taken under medical supervision, but with proper medical supervision, they're generally safe and generally tolerable and very effective.
Professor Michael, thanks very much for your time tonight.
Thank you.